Hi, everybody, and welcome to Mike and Peter talking about mental health in business, in our case, in the legal profession predominantly. As you know, we are not scripting this, so it's just as we think about it, as we talk. And one thing that's been really in the news and everywhere, certainly in the US, is something called, I'm just reading to make sure I get it right, Wellbeing Week in Law. So we have a week dedicated to the well-being, mental health or otherwise in the legal profession. I don't know if it's just a US phenomenon or if it's worldwide, but regardless, is a week like that a good thing, a bad thing? Does it have a purpose? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting and provocative question. I want to say at the outset, I know people who help to organize this week and organize really great activities and pull in speakers. And I spoke at a couple of events this past week. So, on the one hand, I think there's a lot of great content and great people, trying to pull together focus onto this issue. So I think that is a great thing. But I do in the back of my mind, and I wonder if other people think it too. And it's not unique to Wellbeing Week in Law, but think of the phrase, Hallmark holidays, right? Like people like Valentine's Day, or the months that we dedicate to certain topics. It seems like it's proliferated to the point where there's so many, where it's like, well, May is this month and June is this month and this is this week. And I think there is a feeling, I think that some people have that, that's the only time we think about that issue, and that's not a good thing. And so I think it's really a mixed bag. I think the ideal would be to get to a point where, this issue is just integrated in our lives, and we don't have to, just remember it and really focus it on every day, May 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and then not at all after that. So I think if that's the way we're doing it, then it's actually not a good thing. But if the result is we have this week where we focus on it and then we go back and make it more integrated, then I think it is, a great thing. But I do think it's a mixed bag, and I do think about that phrase Hallmark holiday.
I just love this Hallmark holiday. I've never heard that one before, but it's so true, isn't it? If we take Valentine's Day, this is a day where we're supposed to show that we love somebody else. Well, why don't we just do that the other 364 days a year and then make that what we do instead of this overblown gesture because somebody decided that was a good thing, that we should all do that. So it can become quite a hollow and superficial thing. The month of May is typically mental health awareness month.
Right.
And I have exactly the same problem. I like the people who organize things. I like the fact that they do organize awareness. I too provide content for this month. I will be on LinkedIn this week talking about anxiety. But I always am left with this feeling of, and so what? So we've done the talking, we've done the advocating, we've done a bit more talking, and we're still no further forward, because this year we have mental health awareness, this, that, or the other, whether it's in law, whether it's in general. And we did last year, and we did the year before, and we will again next year. So are we talking about the same things at the same level, or have we progressed and talk about it maybe in a more specific way? Maybe a new topic has come on and others have disappeared. I don't know, Mike. I feel we are talking but standing still.
Yeah, I think I'm a little bit more optimistic than that, but it is incremental, and I get that feeling. I think that, it's interesting. It's kind of ironic, right? I did this presentation. I did it for Wellbeing Week in Law. That was the impetus for me putting it together. So I think that does say something. But I did this presentation where I asked, a lot of friends and advocates, what's their vision? Their sort of, what does winning look like? What does a really mentally healthy workplace look like? Let's imagine that together. And I asked you to contribute to that, and many other people. And I really enjoyed doing it. And the last slide that I used was from Mark Goldstein, who's who's a well-being advocate and a lawyer at Reed Smith, and he's done a lot of amazing work. And his comment was, my bold vision for a future is not having to have presentations like this and weeks like this and conferences like this, that we just do it. And I think that's a very powerful thing, and I think it's true. But I mean, maybe until we get there, we do it in this imperfect way. I mean, the other issue that I'd love to sort of get your view on is, I think for people that would want to do work in this field and wanted to draw attention, I think it creates a little bit of a like a difficult issue, because it's almost like if you don't do something during May or during Wellbeing Week in Law, then, well, I mean, that's when you're supposed to do something. Why are you not doing something? But you may feel that it's actually better to pick some other time, because there's so much content that people can be saturated and overwhelmed during May or during Wellbeing Week in Law. It's almost like you want to pick a different time so that we have a more integrated approach, and we sort of fill in the gaps. What's your thought on that, Peter, as someone who's creating content?
I'm someone who creates content, and I'm someone who helps people who have got to crisis point. I'm someone who helps
even more important,
organizations to avoid their people in the organization to get to that point. And I am a bit frustrated that there's so much content being blasted out during 1 month, and then the other 11 months of the year, nothing happens. So I am totally with you, pick another time. But why not use this month as the catalyst, as the starting point? So that's what I would say. Yeah, let's do it. Let's not have this attitude that, okay, it's awareness month, so let's keep quiet. That doesn't work either, because that defeats the whole point of the exercise. The difficult thing is to keep it going. And the difficult thing that's probably even more complicated is to stand out from the crowd. Because every Tom, Dick, and Harry who thinks they know something about mental health in one way or another will be joining that bandwagon. And there will be a lot of noise that will die away quickly. But everybody wants to have their say, everybody wants to fly their flag. And the recipients, the users of our services like mine, do not know who to go to, because there's so many people saying the right thing, something that sounds really exciting, and then they're gone. So, but that's the case all the time, isn't it? Something happens, and all the charlatans and snake oil sellers, they jump on that bandwagon and give other people a bad reputation. But I think, coming back to your original question, I get your point, and I think we should be talking and keep talking and be patient. Takes time.
I guess I have two sort of closing thoughts on this one. The first is, to your point about all the voices coming in, it reminds me a little bit about of Martin Luther King Day here in the US. How every person, whether you're Democrat, Republican, racist, anti-racist, like every single person posts a Martin Luther King quote on Martin Luther King Day and shares it on social media, right? It's just, that's what everyone does. And so if it's the same thing, if that's the limit, if that's all we're doing, then it's not enough and it's not genuine. And it makes me think about it kind of almost like, like running a magazine. It's like we have to plan like the production schedule, right? And you work backwards. And so then the question it can't just be, what are we doing for this 1 week in May? It has to be, what are we doing for that 1 week in May? And also, what are we doing for all the other weeks, and working backwards and making sure that this is kind of an integrated thing. So I think if we can get there, then it's a good thing.
So the answer, I think, or summarizing all of this, is let's join those weeks, those months, but let's do more than that. Carry on from where the impetus was at the time, and then make sure that, people like you and I, who are already active in the field, talking, making speeches, educating, doing therapy, or whatever it is, we keep doing it. It's not just 1 month or 1 week a year. So let's join the bandwagon. Let's put up some quality content and conversations. Hopefully this one is. And those of you watching will be the judge of whether you think this was worth watching, let us know. And as it says on Mike's t-shirt, be kind. But if you feel there's no need to, tell us that as well. Thank you for watching. Take care.